there are a lot of communities that know that their existing little main streets are the real key to their uniqueness and their special culture that makes, say, Abbeville special. What are the obstacles that have kept them from redeveloping certain areas of those communities? We're identifying those, we're coming up with incentives for changing, and we're taking away the obstacles to good planning, to good future thinking and economic development, and we're working together.
The complete Louisiana Speaks Plan for Growth and Recovery details more than 100 specific strategies and action items. Ongoing efforts include extending the regional plan to include Central and North Louisiana, supporting local recovery plans, and coordinating regional plan implementation with restoration and protection plans. And already Louisiana Speaks has supported many successful statewide initiatives, including the adoption of the state's Coastal Restoration and Protection Plan and abolishing the Insurance Rating Commission, allowing a more competitive insurance market. With these first major goals accomplished, Louisiana Speaks is focusing on its next top priorities. The first one is to establish a Louisiana State Planning Office to implement the Louisiana Speaks Plan. The State Planning Office would coordinate state policies, incentives, and investment to support better planning and building, and it would provide technical and direct support to local governments.
And the plans can have not just a shelf to grow dust on, but have people assigned to and have responsibility for implementing those plans at a statewide level.
A legislative study group will propose legislation to create this office during the 2008 session. The Louisiana Speaks Plan has proposed that the State Planning Office be overseen by a highly accountable, public-private board. A separate nonprofit advocacy group would keep the public educated, involved, and informed. A second major priority for Louisiana Speaks is to focus resources on building key transportation infrastructure, especially projects that are critical for evacuating coastal populations and for economic growth and recovery. The Louisiana Speaks Plan calls for completion of several key road and rail projects, including a commuter rail connection between New Orleans and Baton Rouge. This rail service can be launched quickly by upgrading existing tracks, and it would ease evacuations and help move workers during the ongoing recovery.
Like they talk about a rail system. That's the best thing I ever heard of. Then you can communicate with people and you can make this state work.
Rail between New Orleans and Baton Rouge would also spur redevelopment and reinvestment near station stops, and it would better link together a multi-city region that already has more than 2 million people.
So what people said and what we listened to very carefully is that they want to live in communities that have smart, sustainable growth, but that have appropriate traffic control and use light-speed rail. Think forward, think in the future.
The Louisiana Speaks Plan also calls for crucial transportation construction projects, such as the completion of improvements to the critical State Highway 1 route to Port Fourchon.
Highway 1 is a work in progress, and there are no guarantees that we're ever going to get enough money to finish this highway to the class that it should be. Its significance to this country is increasing daily. The Gulf of Mexico is actually the only expanding domestic oil and gas field that this country has. And this corridor that LA1 furnishes the access to allow this production to occur.
Of course, transportation funding is tight in Louisiana, so in order to make these projects happen, state leaders will need to carefully consider their capital priorities. The Louisiana Speaks Plan also helps by identifying innovative funding and financing methods, which could be implemented through a state planning office. An additional priority for the Louisiana Speaks Plan is to develop a database-driven, computerized map that will be publicly available online. The Louisiana Location Index would be a simple, user-friendly resource that categorizes land across the state according to how well it can support development.
When people with capital decide to invest, and when financial centers decide to help them, there is nothing better to have than a full knowledge of where an area is going.
One of the things I love is the Louisiana Location Index. where if you are a developer or say an outside company and you want to come into Louisiana, you could click on the website and it would tell you not only what's available in terms of modes of transportation, but it would also say, here's some incentives at the state level that if you built there, you know what you could get. You don't have to go knock on the door of this agency and that agency, but it's all right there.
To give Louisianans and their local governments another tool in building safer communities, Louisiana Speaks is also creating a set of model development ordinances. This will be a body of recommended zoning and development regulations that could be adopted in whole or in part by local governments. These ordinances address ways to establish safer, more walkable communities with innovative, best practice standards for everything from street design and building density to public safety. Another priority of Louisiana Speaks is to guide the disposition of property obtained by the Louisiana Land Trust through voluntary buyouts. Future use or development of this property would be guided by the community building and risk management strategies developed through the Louisiana Speaks Plan. Another goal focuses on reinvestment in existing communities. It would establish a state policy to focus public investment, such as new state buildings, within already developed areas of cities and towns. The plan would also establish a community reinvestment trust fund to revive downtowns, historic neighborhoods, and main streets. Critical in the Louisiana Speaks Plan is the effort to preserve environmentally sensitive and high flood risk land from future development. To accomplish this, the plan calls for the creation of a conservation and mitigation trust fund that would buy development rights to targeted wetlands and floodplains from willing sellers. And it would encourage communities to locate new schools, recreational facilities, medical buildings, and social services to be built near each other and in the neighborhoods where people live. The plan would also provide tax incentives to encourage building practices that consume fewer non-renewable resources and create a healthier environment. State and local governments should also build green to set an example and develop local know-how. Building greener would work in concert with newly adopted, safer building codes.
Well, safety and sustainability are key building blocks. So we need to remember that living on our coast requires that we think about those things first, safety and sustainability. But the beauty of this plan is that it goes beyond just that and speaks to the whole panoply of quality of life issues that make this such a special place.
Louisiana Speaks builds on regional principles. It builds on smart growth, sustainable development, integrated economy, and all those features that make smart urban patterns.
This process is about planting the seeds for leadership and encouraging people and inspiring people to get involved in their communities and get committed to a program and a process.
We're learning a lot. This is a learning experience for all of us. And one thing it has taught us to appreciate one another, appreciate what we have, appreciate things that we can do for one another and moving on.
And I think that's what Louisiana Speaks is really focusing on, is a quality community, not just in terms of what you build, but in terms of who you are.
We just got to implement that, make it work.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get involved with this forward-thinking effort by visiting our website at www.louisianaspeaks.org. Register and be part of the team that makes Louisiana the place that our children will want to live, work, and play.